What do you prioritize more? People liking you or your life's purpose? If you knew you could have everything you wanted if you just believed, would you take the first step or wait another 10 years? Here on the SDR&R podcast, we tackle everything holding us back.
I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt, so sexy it hurts.
All right, so not necessarily a rock and roll song per se, but definitely fitting of today's episode, which is going to be on how to get the rock star bod, the beach bod, the, sexy as fuck bod that you're really going for. So we got a lot to cover, but I do want to say I'm not a doctor. I have, only my own experience and what a bunch of broskies of mine have explained. So if you're worried about anything, I would highly suggest talking to a professional that really knows their shit and not totally listening to me. But anyway, disclaimers are out there. I've just had a lot of, I'd say, demand for this episode. A lot of people, are interested in their own health and fitness and how they look. I certainly am. So, here goes. We're just going to jump into how I got the fitness level of my dreams and a bunch of the lessons that I've learned throughout. And I think you'll enjoy it. So we'll just dive right in. If you are going to get the body of your dreams, if you're going to be as healthy as, as you really deeply want to, you need a big why to do that. You need a big reason, because if you don't have a big reason to do it, then you're really not going to do it. And there's going to be things that come up that are difficult or hard or frustrating, or you're going to be tired, you're going to be exhausted at times. This really means change. I would say that most of my life I did things fitness-wise at a B- or even a C, right? So 75-80% of what I could be doing or maybe wanted to be doing, I was doing. So I wasn't unhealthy, but I wasn't exactly healthy, and I certainly didn't have the health and fitness level that I really dreamed about. So in order to go from a C or a B- to an A++, you got to jack some shit up, right? You have to make big changes. You have to make different decisions. You have to have a totally different lifestyle sometimes. That change is gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot from you, and you're gonna need a big reason to do it long term, and not just do a small thing that works for a little while and then you kind of fall off the wagon or whatever, so to speak. I heard the statistic today. It's people who have a life-threatening need or reason to make a fitness or health change, only 5% of them actually do it, even though it really means death for them. Even that reason, if you don't do this, you will die, right? You won't have time with your children. You won't have time with your grandchildren. You won't be able to do, any of the dreams you want because you will cease to exist, right? So you need a big reason. How do you find that reason? I don't know. It's different for everybody. I was headed into 40 years old and I was like, man, I got to do this. I didn't want to weigh, so much and look kind of squishy. I was just I'm done with this. I need to have really high fitness level. So figure out what your why is and focus on that, because you're going to need that gas. You're going to need that motivation and inspiration to get what you want. That said, set a goal that you can do. And this is important, whether it's, financial goals, business goals, followers, whatever it is. You need to set a goal, be specific about this goal, and set one that pushes your envelope just slightly. But you also don't want to push it so far that you might actually miss the mark and not get there. One big thing about fitness and health that I've learned is that you actually have to completely reset your fitness and health set point. I think it was episode 3, but don't quote me on that. But we talked about your financial set point, right? So you've got your wealth story up here, you've got in the middle, you've got where you are, your financial set point, and on the bottom, you've got your poverty line. This goes for everything, right? This goes for relationships, this goes for health. So in terms of health and fitness, you have this set point that's right here in the middle. If you're looking to reset your set point so that instead of being here, you're actually much higher, you're at a better fitness level, you're going to need to plan on all of that, right? So, and there's a point of success where you will try to push back and you will say things that are, wacky, like, well, I mean, for me, I love guacamole, and I didn't realize that eating like, 2 avocados worth of guac was something insane. Like, gosh, I don't even want to think about it. It's probably 2,000 calories of fat. Like, not to mention the chips that I ate with it, But I would just say, oh, yeah, I'm hungry and I deserve this because I've worked out so hard or something. So I would just sabotage that success, So as you start to get into better shape and you start to push on that new wealth line, like your new high fitness line, you will sabotage and push yourself down in the same way that you would if your business is becoming very successful. You might find a way to shoot yourself down. Mathematically, you need to set your calories such that the overall caloric intake will be for the weight that you are shooting for. I was at 195, and I think my caloric intake to stay at 195 was somewhere around 2,400 calories a day, plus whatever I would burn with a workout. Where I wanted to be was like 165, so 30 pounds less of fat, really, and that means a lot less calories. So I actually found that I needed to eat about, 750 less per day, so that you really, if you think about it, what you're doing is you're eating the calories that you will need for the set point that you want to go to. I like to not think about how many calories I'm eating, because that pisses me off. It's frustrating if you're not eating many calories, right? But really, you need to think about how many calories your body is burning. Okay, that's what's important. And if you have 10 pounds on your body that's fat that you want to burn, that is 35,000 calories hanging on your body ready to be burned. What I have found in my experience to be true is that you pretty much don't want to restrict your diet too much, because you will actually burn muscle. It's much easier for your body to burn muscle. Muscle is like a lean, meat. It's easy to like it's open calories. It's like if you're running a marathon and your body needs energy to survive, it's probably going to burn your muscle before it burns your fat even. I love to use what's called slow cardio. Okay, so this is, it's not interval training. It's pretty easy going cardio, and it doesn't get my heart rate super high, but it definitely burns calories, which allows me to eat more and keeps my cardiovascular system going really well. It also, because it's slow and it's not like a high intensity interval training, a HIIT exercise, it's not going to take some of my muscle really. It's probably just going to burn fat. I find that, and the science backs this up, if you're doing slow cardio, it's much more likely to burn your fat than it is to burn muscle. Okay, so I love the treadmill. I put it at 13.5% upgrade, like uphill, which feels pretty steep. And I don't walk very fast. I walk at like 3 miles an hour. At that rate, you're burning 13 calories a minute. So if you do a 45-minute exercise on this treadmill, and your heart rate's going to be elevated, but it's not going to be through the roof. You'll be sweating, but like you should be sweating, right? So in 45 minutes, you can burn 600 calories, which is a lot, and you can watch whatever TV you need to catch up on. So, that's like my favorite thing to do. So you got to figure out your resting metabolic rate, your RMR. There is a website here, niddk.nih.gov. I'll say that one more time. niddk.nih.gov. So it's like a repeat, I guess. Anyway, this is a really good tool. It will figure out your body fat percentage, and it's within only a few percent of correct or wrong. I actually had a professional, what's called a DEXA scan, taken, and it was like within 0.5% of accuracy just from this like online free calculator. So your RMR computes how much your body burns if you just are a couch potato all day. So if you do nothing, or if you're, largely not doing a lot of physical stuff, you're not a laborer, instead you're, working at a desk like I certainly do as a lawyer. This will tell you how much calories your body will burn just to keep your organs pumping and everything working. And that's your maintenance calories. Okay, so that's a baseline. If you just eat that amount of calories every day, for me it's like 1,800 calories. I'm 5'10". If I have, thick-soled shoes on. And I weigh like 165. So, figure it out. It's gonna be different given your body fat percentage and your fitness level and all these other things. But you want to get that as a general baseline to know how much your body is going to burn naturally, just to keep you alive and allow you to think and everything. Then you add on to your RMR the calories that you burn from your workouts. And don't go crazy with these, man. It's tempting to go nuts, but you shouldn't, right? So I would get a good calorie tracker for your workouts. It's probably less than you think it is, okay? Yes, there are some extreme examples like the 90-minute long P90X original videos. If you're really doing those with weights and pull-ups and everything, they can burn like 600 calories or even more. But for the most part, if you're working out for an hour doing resistance training like weightlifting and stuff, you're probably in the 400 calorie range. If you're just walking for a half hour, that's more like 120 calories that you're burning. So it's not a ton. But whatever you burn, you can add that on, okay? So if, let's say you want to do a 250 calorie deficit per day, and you naturally burn, 1,600 calories for your RMR, and you do let's say a workout that's 300 calories, okay? That means your body has burned that day 1,900 calories, okay, or will burn that much, and you want to eat at a deficit. So you would take 1,900 and subtract 250, okay, which would be 1,650. And that means that day you can eat safely 1,650 calories, and you're still eating at a deficit, even though your RMR is 1,600, and that's because you burned 300 calories, okay? Use the MyFitnessPal app. Tens of millions of people use it, so it's easy to run a search for like hamburger, or I love to eat sweet potato waffle fries, and then you can just put your calories in. It'll tell you what you ate, and then you have a good estimate. So you always need to log your calories, everything you eat. Okay, there was this friend of a friend that actually, like, she kept tracking her calories and everything. It just wasn't working. She was supposedly at like 1,000 calorie deficit, but the needle wasn't shifting. The scale was staying the same. My friend asked her, he was like, hey, are you certain you're tracking everything that you eat, that you consume? And she's like, oh yeah. And he's like, are you sure? Because this math is not working out. And then she's like, sometimes I eat nuts, in my car. And he's like, what? She just thought that nuts were okay to just eat and not track with your calories. And nuts are like, incredibly high fat and high calorie, like really high. Like a handful of nuts is like over 100 calories, just that. And it's like pure fat, and I love fats. I eat bacon like every day, but you should just know, like, that's a lot of calories. It's very dense calories. All right, so in terms of measuring yourself, I love to do these DEXA scans. I use this place called Live Lean RX. There's a bunch of franchises of it, certainly in the Atlanta area, but you can, find them anywhere. It's DEXA, It's a special type of scan. It was originally made to measure your bone density, but it also, has this nice side element where it shows you your body fat, and it's impossible to cheat these. They're within like 0.5 or 0.2% accuracy rate. Oh, if you're going to start this journey, take a picture. Damn it. I know you're embarrassed or ashamed or whatever. This is not for anybody but you. But take a starting photo. Like it's so frustrating when you've made all these gains and you've improved and you've gotten toned and everything, but then you can't see what you looked like when you started. So the only way to do it, show that skin, man. You got to see it. Take a photo of yourself, cover up your nipples or whatever you got to do, but take that picture so that you've got it, because you need a record. You need to know how far you've come. It has been helpful for me and most of my friends in this kind of world to plan for what you will do when you are tempted to give up or fail, and then this is true for business and all of other goal setting, like under what circumstances will I want the most to give up? What does that look like? And then tell yourself, when I want to give up, I will do this first, no matter what. So for me, if I'm really, really hungry, it helps me to jump on the treadmill and do some of that slow cardio, because that gives my body endorphins and I kind of forget that I'm hungry. Like I'm too busy working out to remember that I'm hungry. And then I have all of these great hormones basically in my body that are, I just feel better. So then I forget that I really wanted to eat, Or if I do eat, then it's still okay because I've already burned a bunch. So I'm not like, really tempting fate, right? So decide under what circumstances you are the most likely to give up and what you're going to do before you get there, because you probably will get there at more than one occasion. Okay, don't push yourself to the limit. Okay, it's very tempting, especially for us guys, I think, to get worked up on the numbers. Like I can bench 300 pounds. Like maybe you can, but if you're looking for your overall fitness, you need to worry about injuries. It is not worth it to injure yourself so that you can't work out for like 2 months, or certainly not those muscles, right? It's worth it for you to do lower weight that you can do safely with correct form and just do more reps, And again, calories in, calories out. You should go heavy from time to time, but don't go so heavy that I really don't like the whole maxing out method. And there's actually this great resistance training app called Fitbod. They just started, but it tracks your calories for you. It tracks your reps, your weights. It knows how strong or weak you are in each different muscle group, and you can tell it what you want it to focus on and everything. And it does a projection of your max, reps, so that you don't have to risk, an injury doing it, right? So, don't push the limit. You're here for a long-term health thing. You're not here to get jacked up on the numbers, okay? All right, cheat meals. Cheat meals, not cheat days. The cheat days was insane. I did that like once, and I ate so much and I felt so sick I actually vomited from it. So, my body could not tolerate. It had no idea what to do with all these calories. That was insane. One cheat meal is plenty. Typically, I'll eat like a day's worth calories in that one meal. So like, 1,800 calories in one meal, and you can get there with like a couple of drinks, which helps your appetite to kind of stay up, and, some steak or whatever it is that you want to eat. It's great and actually important to do a cheat meal at regular intervals. When I'm really at a deficit, I like to do it about once a week. And then, of course, you keep that tab going. So you have to log all of your calories. You're not really cheating. You're just overloading your system one night a week or every other week or whatever it is. This tells your body that you're not starving. And it seems kind of weird or that would be unnecessary, but it really works. If I notice that I'm hungry like all the time, then I go have a cheat meal, which just it's too much food. It's almost like I'm stuffing myself and my body's like, oh my God, there's like a plethora of food here. And that even if I, eat a lot less the next 2 or 3 days, my body is still remembering that like I had all of this, it actually like does things to your hormonic balances or something like that. I don't know the science, but it spikes your levels for a short duration of time and your body kind of remembers and it says, hey, we're not starving. So cheat meals, not cheat days, but that's a good thing to do. Just keep a tab on it. Don't, you got to make up for those calories, So either you plan for them and you're at even more of a deficit than normal before and after, some combination. All right, there's this whole thing called intermittent fasting. This works wonders for me. I don't know what the science is. I've heard good things, and it definitely works for me. Whenever I'm not intermittent fasting, my fat content of my body goes up, and my muscle can even go down. That said, it's not easy. So I eat in an eating window between 12 o'clock noon and 8 p.m. at night. So all of the food and, if I'm drinking at all, everything needs to fit into that window of time. And then, I'm done eating by 8. So if I go to bed at midnight and I wake up at, 7:30 or whatever it is, I'm fasted, right? So my body has to chew on its own fat because that's all that's available. And I wait until the next day's eating interval, which is at noon, right? So I have heard from some women that this is not a good thing for their unique bodies. All the men I've met, except unless you're diabetic or something, intermittent fasting works wonders. It helps to balance out my hormones for sure, and it burns fat like crazy because that's all that's available. Like my body is forced to burn fat because it certainly doesn't have any sugars that it can otherwise burn. Macros, okay, so macronutrients, easy to split them up, and the MyFitnessPal will do it automatically for you, but it's protein, carbs, and fats. I find it best for me to have a third, which for a lot of people is a lot of protein, a lot more protein than they're used to. But track your macros, okay? Protein content has to be high in order to preserve the muscle that you have and gain the muscle that you want. And muscle, of course, increases your metabolic rate, your metabolism, so then you can eat even more. So muscle is great. We love muscle. What I have found is that I need to eat 1 gram of protein per day for the amount of lean mass that I want to have. So if I currently have 145 pounds of lean mass, and that includes bones and muscle and stuff like that, and I want to get to 150 pounds of lean mass, and this will all show up on your DEXA scan, then I need to eat at least 150 grams of protein per day. Okay, so you figure out that math for yourself, whatever it is, but like we said, reset your set point. So eat for where you want to be, not where you are currently. Okay, so for me, it's like every meal has to have a lot of protein in it. 20, 30, 40, 50 calories even. One of my favorite things to do to knock out all this protein is to eat a lot of egg whites, and I season the shit out of them. I put, hot sauce on it. I chop up peppers and onions, and I kind of stir fry the peppers and onions, and then I put in 10 egg whites, which is only 200 calories, but it's like 60 grams of protein in one meal. So, that might be too much for you. I don't know. But it's great for me, and protein, like, it's energy. It's like straight shot of energy and motivation, right? So with that and some coffee and some bacon, like, you are all set. So I'm just going to run through some things that I really like to eat that are like high protein, a good mix. Air fryer sweet potato fries. Dude, get these frozen sweet potato fries. They are amazing. If you use an air fryer, it's actually very low calories and it tastes just like, deep fried fries. So that's great. Phage yogurt or Faje, I don't know how you're supposed to say it. If you throw some protein granola in there, be careful. Granola has a lot of calories, but if you weigh it or do the serving size and track it, that's good. Quest protein bars are good in a pinch. When I go on a trip, I'll eat Quest protein bars. We talked about egg whites and bacon and deli turkey. Okay, so I love to make tacos, and I will take the beef, and beef can actually be a lean meat if you do this. So you just need to, fry it up and then put it into a strainer, like a tight knit strainer, and you spray it and rinse it off. And that actually, first you drain the fat, you put it like the strainer over a mug or something, and then you spray it with a whole bunch of water, and you'll see that it gets kind of gray. So that removes all of the fat from it, and a drained and rinsed beef is like really low calorie compared to the high fat beef, and it's a lot better for you. It's kind of like lean chicken, and I think it tastes way better. Coffee is your friend. Coffee is like, it's certainly my best friend. It's like free energy, basically, and there's 0 calorie energy, as long as you don't put sweeteners and milk and shit in there. I also love to spice things up. So, hot sauce is easy. Peppers and onions, like those are low. If I don't even always log those peppers and onion calories because they basically don't count. But hot sauce doesn't count. That doesn't add anything. And so you can just go to town with that. And I'd say vitamins, take your vitamins. Like, we don't know if vitamins totally work, but we don't know that they don't work, and they're pretty cheap. And, if you're at a caloric restriction, you want to make sure that you get all the nutrients that you need. All right, that's it. I hope that was helpful. I know that this is kind of different from our normal subject matter and mindset and everything, but it all kind of incorporates in, right? So if your body's healthy, your mind will be healthy too. So keep rocking and rolling, guys. I'll see you next week. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want to hear more, check us out on JonathanSparksMusic.com, JONATHAN SparksMusic.com. Please like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We love you guys. We'll talk soon.